Mr. Urban Phenom, dropping lyrical bombs. Niggas got heart, but no chin, Amir Khan. Always ready for war, I don't have to turn it on. I'm the best at what I do, and that's just being me. The devil's a lie.
Alright, so we finally got the rematch between Carl Froch and Mikkel Kessler. It's for a super middleweight title belt. I think the IBF, WBA, one of those fucking belts. There's a bunch of them nowadays. I feel this is gonna be a pretty good fight. The first fight was pretty good. It wasn't no classic fight of the year type of shit, but it was a solid, good fight. Close competitive fight as well. I thought Kessler won clearly by just basically outworking Froch, and he took a lot of the early rounds by basically just landing the 1-2 straight to the body, and Froch didn't seem to really wake up until the middle of the fight, and Kessler already had his momentum and his lead going, and the second half of the fight was really good, especially toward the end. But it's no robbery. I don't think all that shit talking that Froch did afterwards was warranted, because close fights happen in boxing. If you don't really put your stamp on a fight and control rounds, fights could go either way. And he did get a gift. I felt he got a gift against Andre Durrell. So, you lose some, you win some. That's how it is in boxing. This time around, Froch is coming in there with a big win off the Lucien Boutte destruction. So I believe he has more momentum coming in this fight than Kessler does. Although Kessler's been looking good and doing his thing, and he notched up some other victories, but nothing as big as the Boutte fight. So I believe that's why Froch is probably the slight favorite in this one. But it's really a good even pick'em fight. It's been a good year of boxing where we're getting real good, evenly matched up fights. We've been getting upsets, but a lot of these upsets aren't any big crazy upsets where guys don't have a chance at all and they're pulling these spectacular victories. Nah, a lot of fights just been really evenly matched up, and this is another one of those. I feel that Kessler has the right tools and styles to beat Froch again, and the reason being, and the reason why I'll say this, because now if you ever been to a boxing gym and trained in box, you would really understand the point I'm about to make. And it's a theory, but theories can be proved wrong. I feel that whenever you have two fighters with the same type of temperament, the same physical attributes, and dimensions, but one of them fights in a awkward, unorthodox type of style, then you have another guy who has the same attributes, same physical dimensions, same temperament as a fighter, and he's trained to fight a technical textbook type of fight. The technical textbook fighter, for the most part, always wins. And that's what I feel is going to happen again in this fight. See, a guy like Froch, to me, his whole style is crude. It's like a caveman with boxing gloves. But he's made it work. He's a tough guy. He's fought all comers, good resume. He's the type of boxer you want to root for because, he's cocky, he can punch. Most of his fights are entertaining. He takes on good fighters. You can't front on him with that. But at the same time, his skills, he gets by on his power and his length. His length is what fucks you up in his stance. He fights with his hands down, and he capitalizes off the uncertainties of his opponents. Because guys, they know he's not that quick, but he's quick enough to counter and hurt you. May not hit you with some one punch Tyson type of knockout power, but he could hurt you or he could buzz you real good. And you can see the length troubles a lot of guys who don't approach Froch correctly. Guys who have a good textbook foundation, they know how to fight against Froch. Like if you remember Jermaine Taylor, he has good textbook skills. He knows how to jab real good. He steps in with his jab. He doubles it, triples it. He'll fire the right hand right after that. it's no coincidence that he put work on Froch. Even though he lost the fight, he was kicking Froch's ass up and down the ring for about good 7-8 rounds. And then, you know, the usual Jermaine Taylor breakdown happened. And same thing with Kessler. Kessler has a good foundation of skills. He's solid. He's basic as hell, but he's a great basic. And he has the same temperament as Froch. You know, he's a warrior. He's gonna fight. He has power. They got about the same size and speed, but it's like Kessler does everything correctly, whereas Froch, he looks like one of those dudes who went in the gym and he kind of just made up his own style. And you know, he made it work for him, and so the coaches just let him do what the fuck he does. You know, you see this in boxing gyms. You see guys who look terrible. They do everything wrong, but they make it work for them. They got some type of attribute that just pulls them ahead of others. So they'll beat lesser fighters or guys who don't have that toughness to deal with them. And that's what I see a lot of that in Froch. So I could really see him losing this fight, just basically because Kessler is just too textbook for him. Kessler knows that, okay, I have a good enough reach. I could hit him with my jab. If I step in and jab, I could outwork him. Froch throws a lot of busy punches, then he slips in a hard one. Kessler, I feel just, he's the more fundamentally sound fighter. He just has to really do his basic game plan and he'll win. So with that, even though he doesn't have the big momentum coming into the fight, I'm going with Kessler to win another unanimous decision, another close competitive fight, and just really capitalize on all the flaws that Froch has, like, you know, not throwing enough punches in certain spots, having his hands down, his footwork is bad sometimes, although he could, you know, move around the ring a good bit. But, you know, he does make a lot of flaws, and I don't think his style matches up well with a guy like Kessler. See, the difference with Jermaine Taylor, we know Jermaine Taylor could get tired and he could get broken down. He fights nervously. You know, Ward was different because Ward, he's fundamentally sound, but he stayed on the inside. He knew when to out-jab Froch. He knew when to be in close. He had a lot of good sneaky hooks that was able to land on Froch. Those guys who are textbook sound, they're gonna beat guys like Froch, or at least give him a lot of trouble. Darrell, yeah, he's fundamentally sound, but the difference between Darrell, Kessler, Taylor, and Ward, Darrell, he didn't believe in his style enough. I thought he won, but he did do a lot of spoiling shit, running and moving. He had a lot of uncertainties. He was falling around all over the place. You know, he didn't have the mental strength at the time to fight a guy like Froch. And he didn't believe in his style. He was playing like keep away with the jab, running around. He didn't do enough to really say, okay, he took the fight in somebody else's hometown. Even though I thought he did enough to win, but it's one of those fights where you can't complain too much about it. At the end of the day, both guys, I feel, are evenly matched up. It's all about who's going to impose their style. And I think Kessler's going to do that again. Although I wouldn't be surprised if Froch just starts a little earlier and is a lot more busier and really takes the fight to Kessler and keeps Kessler going backwards. Because Kessler is not that good of a fighter fighting backwards. And I could see Froch doing that as well and taking a close fight. But I'm going to just go with my Kessler prediction. But I wouldn't be surprised if Froch keeps Kessler handcuffed and fighting behind him and fighting backwards and not really able to get anything going offensively as much as he would like. So like I said, it's a close fight to call, but I'll stick with Kessler by decision. Swag Science, HoodAllStars.com.